Governor Doug Burgum of North Dakota will soon be our next Secretary of the Department of Interior. I am going to support that nomination. I think he will be confirmed, but until that happens, we always say, if confirmed, Mr. Burgum will play a critical role in balancing the importance of conserving our wildlife and natural resources while also assisting in the enhancement of domestic energy production. Now, we must remember over the last 4 years, in other words, under the Biden administration, many of our nation's federal lands were off limits for any type of use, and the excuse was for the sake of conservation. Though that's a broad stroke, the word conservation, it wasn't made very clear what was meant. Many know that I have been a long-time advocacy for transparency in the public's business because transparency brings accountability. Mr. Burgum will be expected to be transparent and forthcoming when leading the department, and I expect that he will be, but especially when responding to letters from members of Congress. If confirmed, Mr. Burgum will oversee several bureaus and agencies that all work together supporting the Interior Department's mission of protecting, of managing, and of honoring our nation's natural resources and the lands. On the topic of our country's resources, the U.S. has ample responsibilities for energy production and generation, and President Trump, winning the election, has made clear that that's a top priority for him, and the President has created a special council on energy, and Mr. Burgum will be chairing that council. Now, I happen to be a believer, as I'm sure Mr. Burgum is, in what you call all of the above strategy on energy. And all of the above strategy really means just that. In other words, emphasis upon what we've got energy from, fossil fuels, and that's declining in use, but it's still going to be around for a long, long time. It means all the energy, alternative energy that we can create. It means conservation, and not necessarily conservation promoted by government, but individual conservation, and of course, nuclear. And nuclear brings to our attention a whole new generation of ways to produce nuclear energy. That's all of the above. And of course, we ought to, in order to accomplish that, cut back on Biden-era regulations. These regulations seem to be very opaque, and consequently, we would forge a fiscally sound path forward in regard to everything that less regulation would bring us. I believe that Mr. Burgum understands the need to support an all-of-the-above approach to energy policy, given his leadership on that issue as governor of the state of North Dakota. I yield the floor, and I suggest the absence of a quorum, Mr. President.
The clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Alsterbrooks.